welcome to the lecture today. And I'm going to talk about this topic on world hunger and food waste. These two are very commonly seen around our society today. But it seems like these two are contradictory with each other. That's why I call this a paradox. So in this particular lecture, I will give a background on the problem, the nature of the problem that we see. And then I will also give some suggestions on how to address this problem. Okay, so in year 2000, the United Nations proposed 17 goals, 17 targets, and we call them the SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Goals. And in this lecture, I will just address just a few, but in reality, these different goals are interconnected with each other. So I will start by talking about the inequality or responsible consumption, and hopefully it will lead to a concept of addressing the no hunger or zero hunger, and hopefully I can convince you that fulfilling all of these goals can probably lead to reduced inequalities, narrowing the gap between the rich and the poor countries. That is going to be my theme today. So let's start with this slide. And this term malnutrition is very common. We hear this every day. And malnutrition is simply hunger, something like this. This is a very common scene in Asia, in parts of Africa. This is a very big problem. On the other hand, in the richer countries, there is also another kind of malnutrition. And this is what we call obesity. When people get too much food or not eating the right kind of food, that is also malnutrition. Okay? So let's set the stage for our discussion. So I will show you that here, this is from the UN in 2008, about 1.4 billion adults are overweight. Overweight, meaning they are either obese or overweight. And we know about BMI. If your BMI is more than 25, then you have a problem. On the other hand, if your BMI is lower than 18, then that is also a problem. And that brings us to the other half, the other extreme, which is hunger. A lot of people, 800 million people, are undernourished. They don't have enough food, or their food does not have the right vitamins. 98% of these malnutrition cases are found in poor countries. Only 2% are found in the richer countries. Okay, to illustrate my point, I would like to show you this one. This is a figure from FAO. And to show you this big circle here, 537 million in Asia, there's a big number of malnourished people or hungry people. However, in 2012, there is a decline in this number, 25%, due to many efforts of countries, especially China. China was able to lift so many people out of poverty. But here, look, in North Africa and Western Asia, in the Middle East, the number is increasing 92%. This is because of political problems, economic problems, and so forth and so on. Let's focus on another map. And here, this is a hunger map in 2015. And the ones in red or orange, these are countries which are suffering from this hunger problem. And you can see that many of them are in Africa. I'll zoom that for you. And here in Africa, in East Africa, there's a lot of these countries that are really facing this particular problem. Now, the problem of hunger is tied up with daily life. I don't want to discuss this anymore. I mean, there's so many impacts that are found in this graph, in this figure. So I will just focus on this one. This is very simple. So for example, if you have a child who is malnourished, this child will not have good food. This child will not have enough vitamins and nutrients. So the growth of the child will be affected. Now the child becomes a toddler. The development, mental development, physical development is not good. And then goes to school. He does not have any interest in going to school. So he drops out of school mainly. And when he becomes an older person, an adult, he does not have enough education. He does not have good physical condition. So he becomes sick. And then he gets married. And then the same way, many children, and then this cycle goes around and around and around. So this is very, very serious. So the lack of healthy food and proper nutrition affects every stage of life, every stage, whether you are small, middle, or old stage. Surprisingly, World Food Program, this is a program of the United Nations, says that hunger is the world's greatest problem, but it is the world's greatest solvable problem. Many solutions. But where are the solutions? We will talk a little bit about that. So here, at present, half of the area of the world, we have a lot of agriculture. The last 20 years, the area increased by 16%. The area under farming is double, and the production is triple. Good news. But our population is also increasing. So this is a big challenge. How to cope up with the increase of population so that we can produce more food. Okay, so I like to show you, this is a picture showing you the flow of food from the farm until it goes to our homes. So from the farms, it goes to these steps. So this is called the food supply chain. Okay? I think we are familiar with that. So from the farms, from the seas, we harvest, and then they go to the processing centers, the factories, and then from there they go to the warehouses, and they are transported to the different cities, and then they are sold in the markets, in the supa, in the konbini, and finally it goes to our house. So this is the supply chain. However, there are problems in each step. Look at this. So from step 1 to the last step to our table, there are some problems, there are some losses that we can see. For example, here in farming, some farmers may not have machines, some farmers may not have very good technique for farming, so they lose a lot of food. Harvesting, some people, some farms, they can harvest, but then they don't have any place to put their harvest, so it gets destroyed. So there's a lot of this problem. Processing, some products cannot reach the factory because there's no trucks, there's no roads, there's no transportation. So there are many problems. Here in the stores, the food waste will happen when some stores order too many, oversupply. And then finally here at home, you and me, we can also contribute to this problem. We also lose a lot of food because we are cooking too much, or we don't put a lot of these refrigeration and stuff like that. Okay, so let me show you. So I will summarize the 5 stages. So it's from step 1 and step 2 all the way to step 5. And people have called this step 1 and step 2 food loss of food. And step 3, 4, 5 is waste. There is food, but waste. And all of them, we call it food wastes. Now, I will show you this picture, and the different colors are the 5 stages. So the step 1, the farm, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, you can see that in developing countries, poor countries, generally poor countries, the loss is in step 1 and in step 2. Because in the poor countries, the farm is not well developed. The farm has no machine. The farm has no technology. Transporting from the farm to the factory is a problem in many countries. No trucks, no roads, no transportation facilities. So the big losses are here, step 1 and step 2. In richer countries like United States or UK, the biggest one is step 5. Blue, the waste is mostly in the homes, in the supermarkets, in the restaurants. So there is a big difference. So let me show you this one. So in developing countries, most of the loss of the food is in the harvesting, farming, and the processing. But in the rich countries, the loss is in the retail, in the selling, supermarket, in the consumer level, at home, our families. We contribute, each one contribute 40% or about 1/3 of the total, 33% to 40%. So rich countries, 40%. Poor countries, 40%. We are the same, but we waste the food in different ways. I'll show you this one. So if we say that the loss of the food is about 1/3 or 33%, we split the 33% between agriculture supply chain and the customer. So meaning to say, the red portion is the loss in the rich country. The green portion is the loss in the poor countries, in the developing countries, the developed countries or rich countries in the red. Now, overall, about 1/3, I've mentioned this one, 1/3, 1.3 billion tons of food is wasted all around the world, all countries, the same. Eh? Now, the loss of food is the same at home or in the big cities, small cities, in the farms, in the rich country, the same, 1/3. 1/3. Now, just to show you in Japan, 10% of the food waste in Japan, you might be surprised, comes from supermarkets and convenience stores. These pictures from the internet, they show you a lot of this throwing away of food, which is unnecessary. This one show you that manufacturers, wholesalers, retailers, the stores, they dispose of food, throw away food. Many reasons. The over manufacturing, when they make too many, they throw away. When the product is not good, very good quality, substandard, throw away. The wholesaler, if the package is damaged, throw away. Retailer, supermarkets and convenience, the food not sold, throw away. And the items out of season, okay? So throw away. So many reasons, okay? Now, this is very important. These reasons are very important. For example, in Japan and other countries, food safety is a very primary concern. Food safety. We need to give the people the right food, the safe food, healthy food. And food traceability is very important. So in the labels in the Japanese products, there is always an information. Where is this from? Which company? Which factory? Is it the factory in Hiroshima or in Yamaguchi? So that you can trace in case there is a problem. They're very important. Another reason is expiration dates. We know that. So if the date is already near and it's not sold, then maybe they throw away. or they sell cheap. Now, let me talk a little bit, just a little bit about expiration date. The companies, manufacturer, they set the different dates because they want to make sure that the product is safe. Now, we have to understand what is the meaning. So, if there is a date, then it indicates freshness, very fresh, very good. Number one, quality. If you buy and eat that product before the date. But the date does not tell you about safety. It does not tell you, if you eat that one after the date, you will die. No such thing. So the date is not an indication of safety, but it is an indication of freshness. Of course, we want to eat fresh food as much as possible. So when we bring this food to our house, we have all these products and we eat them, but some of them we don't eat for various reasons, such that about 40% of the food waste, 40% of the food waste in Japan come from you and me, our families, our household, 40%. And these are just some of the reasons why the food is lost, okay? So poor planning before the shopping trip and just buying any products and buying in many quantity, so many, and not storing them very well and wasting the uneaten meals, okay? I have children at home. They don't eat the food from this morning. This morning is this morning. This afternoon, another food, okay? We have to change that. And scarcity of time. People are very busy in Japan and there's very little time for planning. So these are some of the reasons that I can think of, and I got this all reasons from different sources. So please remember, 40%. In Japan, the food waste from the families is about 6 million tons a year. 6 million tons. It's very hard to imagine. How much is 6 million tons? 6 million tons is about small cup of rice. Just small cup of rice. But 6 million tons is every day, every Japanese, every person in Japan throw away one small cup of rice. And then you put that together, and then after 1 year, the small cup of rice will become 6 million tons. And 6 million tons is double the amount of food aid that we give away to these poor countries. So the surplus food that is thrown away, about 6 million tons, is about the same as the annual rice production in Japan. The annual rice production is 5 to 8 million tons. We throw away 6 million tons. So this is very scary. So there are some solutions. The government became aware of this problem. So in 2001, there was a law. It says the food waste recycling law. And then last year, 2019, there was a law on the promotion of food loss and waste reduction. They have to reduce. So the government is trying to find ways to cut down on the loss. And the total loss in Japan, if we have 17 million, the businesses, the industry, the restaurants, the farms, they waste 7 million, but the homes are more. The families waste 10 million tons. But out of these 10 million tons, 9 million is thrown into the landfill or burned, incinerated. Only 1 million is recycled. But then because of this law, the 7 million tons and 4 million is burned, and higher number, 3 million tons is recycled. Before the law, this was only 1 million ton. So the law has helped us a lot in Japan. Okay? Food industry business. These are the ones that are helping government comply with this law, implement this law so that we can reduce the food loss. Now, you might say, oh, it's okay, we lose this food, we can change this food into other products, we can use it for energy. Yes, 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 we can do that. But the technology is so costly, it's so expensive. So what I'm going to show you here is that we need each one of us, you and me, to try to understand and to practice what is reduce, what is reuse, what is recycle. I think this is so easy to understand, but maybe not so easy to do. So if everyone wants to help, everyone can follow this one in their daily life. Okay. Now, let me show you some of the things that some governments, some countries, some people, some organizations, what have they done in order to address this issue of food loss and food waste. Here is one example. There is a system. This was started in Thailand, and now there is also a system in Japan, where in the different hotels, restaurants, they get a certification. So some people will go to your hotel and check, are you wasting food? What are you doing with your food loss, food waste? So it's like an ISO. So they make that. Now, if you pass, they give you a certificate. So you can put that certificate in the lobby and say, oh, this hotel does not waste food. Okay, that's good. So this is one thing that we can pursue in Japan and other countries. Another one is a doggy bag law. Okay? Doggy bag law. In France, this is a law already. The restaurants in France are required by the law to provide the bag. Okay? Now, I know this is, when I first came to Japan, I was also shocked. I had some food and I asked for a doggy bag, and the person in the restaurant said, what is that? We don't know that. I said, okay, no problem. But here in Japan, there is now a small NGO that they are providing also these bags to bring home the food. Now, this is different from takeout. Takeout is you call and you bring it out. No, this is doggy bag is you eat inside the restaurant, and whatever food you don't finish, then you can put in the bag and bring it home. Doggy bag. So it's called doggy bag because we always say, oh, I bring the food, I give to my dog. This is the name, doggy bag. Okay. France, very interesting. France is the first country in the world to have a law that will require the supermarket from keeping the unused food. Do not throw away the used food. Now, of course, here in Japan, we know that supermarkets still throw away. We just don't see them. But in France, the law says that if your supermarket is large supermarket, 400 square meter area supermarket, you are required by law to sign a contract with an organization so that the organization will receive all the food that you throw away. If you don't do that, you will pay the penalty, 3,700 euro. So because of this law in 2016, France before was number 4. Now France is number 9 already in EU in terms of food waste. Right now, England is the largest, and Germany. So in 2017, France earned number 1 ranking in the Food Sustainability Index in EU. Very, very interesting. So this is an idea we can try to follow maybe. Another one here. This is a very easy technology. One NPO, Wakati, is they proposed this one, and this is a like a mini refrigerator. You know, the Resoko, the refrigerator is something that is very expensive or not available in many countries around the world. Here in Japan, everybody has, of course, we know that. But in these tropical countries, the temperature is very hot, 32 to 40 degrees Celsius. Now, under this situation, people will not be so nice. I mean, it's so hot. So all the products will also rot so fast. They die so fast. So in our refrigerator, it's 4 degrees. But it's impossible to do a 4 degrees without a refrigerator. So this company made this like a net container, and they put this one inside, and they put a solar-powered machine and like a fan, and inside it will become 27. 27 is still atsui, but it's better for the vegetables. So just to show you, these are the vegetables without the solar-powered machine. And this one is 27 degrees, 27 is okay. This one is more than 27. So you can see the difference. Okay. Now, another one. This is gaining a lot of popularity in Japan as well as in other countries. The use of nanoparticles. Now, this one is still very new. So they use these different elements, chemicals, and put these chemicals into the container, the food container. Okay, I think you've seen some plastic containers with the silver. Okay, now what does this do? They do 4 things. They can kill the microbes. They can kill the bacteria. Number 2, they can stop the UV. They can block the UV. Number 3, they can scavenge ethylene. Scavenge means they can remove ethylene. What is ethylene? Ethylene is a chemical that will make the fruit ripe so fast. So if you remove the ethylene from the fruit, then it will stay green. It will not become red right away. And also oxygen. If you remove the oxygen, then your food will become will stay fresh longer. Now I'll show you how this is applied. Now here, this is another company in the United States, and what they do is they make a water-based solution and mix with some chemicals from the plant, and then spray on the lemon. So the lemon becomes extra layer, and then this process will keep the oxygen outside and will keep the water or the moisture inside. So your lemon becomes really fresh longer. Okay? Now the other one, this is very interesting. They use a laser. When they use a laser, they burn this one. They burn the skin of the potato, and then it makes a label. So if you burn this one with a laser, you don't have to put paper and label. You don't need to put a plastic for packaging. So it's just like this. Now, these two and many more are examples of very new and very experimental approaches to trying to save food by keeping them fresh for a longer time. And then today, there are also many apps that used especially for the millennials. Apps are available, and the apps will alert you about which supermarket has a lower price. They are going to throw away, like 10 liters of milk, and they are making this available to members of the app, so forth and so on. I'm sure some of you have heard about this. Overall, this is a picture that is very common in Asia. This is a shark, okay? And what the people there do is they cut the fin of the shark and they make it into the soup. Soup is so expensive. I think it's also delicious. But then what do they do with other parts of the shark? They just throw away the shark. So that's why I said this is so wasteful. So much waste for so little food. The whole shark, so big, you only get the fin. What happened here? So much waste. Okay? So there are ways for us to do this. Okay? in Japan and other countries, we have seen this one. When we reduce the food waste, we can save some money. So you can buy the half price, you can buy the discount. Okay, it's still very good. Then sometimes you have this bread. Okay, even if you don't eat, you just buy. I buy these things. I don't really buy because I need them. No, I buy because I'm thinking, oh, I should buy because this one will throw away. I'll buy because, you know, if you buy these things, you can always feed to the animals. So no waste. Okay? So this is one. Now, I think one of the important changes that we have to do is ourselves. We need to educate ourselves. We need to educate our children. We need to tell them different things. So when we want to reduce the food waste, I think I've said this before, we need to plan ahead. We need to buy only what we need. We need to put them in a nice place so that they will not spoil so fast. We need to cook the right amount, eat it all. No more leftovers. If we have leftover, yes, we have to eat it later and then recycle what we cannot eat. So if we can follow this one, I think we can do well. Okay? If one person can do it, other members of the family can do it. If all of us can do it, I think we will make a very good impact. So I just want to show you this one, that it is very important. This is a food recovery hierarchy, and these are different levels. And number one here, source reduction. So I think it's very important and very practical that if we could reduce the amount of waste, then the amount of food, then the amount of waste will be reduced as well. However, if we cannot reduce, then we have to give to the hungry people. But if we cannot feed any hungry people, then maybe feed animals. But if you cannot find any animals, then maybe you should put it into the industrial uses. You can convert this into energy by some company, or you can compost it, give to the farmers, and they will mix with their soil. And finally, if we cannot do anything, we cannot do any of these, then it has to be incinerated, it has to be burned, it has to be placed in a landfill. So this is a food recovery hierarchy. So the most preferred is the top, the least preferred is the bottom. So we should try to follow this one as we go along. Okay, so let me summarize a little bit. This is the food loss and waste challenge. Currently, we are 1.6 billion tons. But by the year 2030, the year when the SDGs are supposed to happen, when the SDGs are supposed to have reached their goals, at the current rate that we waste and lose food, it will still increase by 0.5 billion tons. So from currently 1.6, it will become 2.1. This is the projected one. And in terms of dollars, from 1.2 trillion, it will increase to 1.5 trillion. And then by that time, the number of hungry people will be more or less in that figure. And then here, look at this, 8%. What is that 8%? We don't know until people tell us that the food that we waste, the food that we throw away, contributes to the global warming. So 8% of the greenhouse gas emission is caused by the food waste and food loss. It's not only cars, it's not only factories, it's not only other activities, but food loss will also contribute 8%. That's a lot. 8% is a lot. Okay, so I want you to reflect on these numbers. So, in order to address this one in our own personal way, I always tell people, why don't we think globally, act locally? Think globally. Think about the whole world. Think about the big problems around the world. Okay? But I know the problem is too big. I'm just one person. I cannot solve that problem. That's too big. That's all right. Because even if you think globally, you act locally. Act locally means you do the action by yourself. Do the action by using our family members. Okay? Small. So if each family, if each community will do their share, then we can conquer this problem. Okay? So one of the things here in the food system challenge is we need to change our behavior. I think I've said this many times. We need to change our behavior towards healthier diet, and we need to change our behavior to reduce the food loss and food waste. Buy only what we need. Eat only what we like. Okay? Don't buy extra. Okay. And then another one is to improve our food system. We have to increase our productivity. So more farms. We need more farms. Even though we said that the agricultural production has tripled 3 times, tripled. We need to have more farms by 2050. And then another one, we need to preserve the environment through lower resource intensity, meaning to say our environment gives a lot of resources. So lower resource intensity and sound use of inputs, it simply means don't take so much from our environment. Don't take so much natural resources from our environment. Let them stay as much as we could. And this one, this is very relevant, I think. We should make farming an attractive job, an attractive economic opportunity for young people living in rural areas. I know this is very common problem in Japan. Everybody, every young student that I have, they all want to go to Tokyo. I said, why? He said, oh, Tokyo is the best. I said, so we have to change that mentality. We have to tell them, no, no, no. Here, we need you. We need farmers. We need fishermen. We need people to produce food, or else we will all go hungry. So this is one of the challenges that we need to tell. So I would like to end my lecture by showing you again the SDGs. Okay? These SDGs are set by the United Nations for 2030. So we have, now it's 2020, so 10 more years. We hope to achieve most of these. We hope to reach the target, most of these, by 2030. So I focus on responsible consumption and production. So we have to use our resources with more responsibility. We have to use our production by thinking of others. That's why they call it sustainable. Sustainability is, yes, you can use the resource today, but please think also of the next generation so that the next generation can also enjoy the resources. That is sustainability. That is the essence of sustainability. And hopefully, by doing responsible consumption, we can eliminate hunger. Okay? As I've said earlier, hunger is the world's biggest problem, but it's the biggest solvable problem. It has many solutions. Okay? And if we solve that one, I hope we can get reduced inequality. The rich and poor countries, the rich will not be very rich, the poor will not be very poor, but maybe they will get closer to each other. Thank you very much.